Miracle.
Yay!
Everything is working. I can't believe it.
All right.
I had a hard time yesterday. Brad, are you frozen again? Are you? There you go. Okay, you were like holding yourself perfectly still. I'm like, oh no, he's frozen again. Good old internet. Yesterday I had a little problem logging into YouTube for some reason, but today I don't have that problem. Over here, I've learned this. Brad Olson, producer, Off the Tracks movie. He might be working on Off the Tracks too, or Resolve on the Tracks, maybe. Over there, Serena Catania. Are you in California, Serena?
I'm in California.
Good luck with
Sunny
that.
California.
Good luck with
Sunny California where nothing works.
And exactly. And Tangier, you're also from, are you from LA?
Los Angeles.
Los Angeles. You're the lucky
Freezing.
one. Right below me, I got to twist my arm around Tony Gallardo from Texas, the warm state of Texas. You got any snow this year, Tony?
Oh, man, it's super cold. It's about 62 degrees outside.
Oh, yeah, super cold. I'm at 41. I'm at 41. And then I got Santa Claus back here. Came down from the North Pole for anybody, and there's a bunch of Christmas decorations over there. I figured I'd throw them in there today since we're going to be talking about, well, I figured we'd talk about 2021 and then get right on into 2022 because we know a lot of secrets about 2022. Nobody else knows, but we do. The collective beehive right here knows a lot about 2022. As far as Final Cut Pro goes, not about anything else.
And don't trust a word we say.
No, just like you should do with the news. Don't trust a word that they say, period. Just
All
don't trust
speculation.
So, Brad, what you been up to?
Enjoying a December break, mostly. I don't know, helping on a few little independent projects.
Okay. Do you shovel snow out there in Utah?
Occasionally, yeah.
Like a lot?
It's been snowing, but it hasn't been sticking enough to warrant
Okay.
shoveling.
Okay. I got like a 16 horsepower snowblower 12 horsepower. We got, a couple years ago, we got 2 back-to-back 30-inch snows. Not a couple years ago, but 10 or 11 years ago. 2 30-inch back-to-back within 2 weeks of each other, 30-inch snows. So we literally had 60 inches of snow. And there's no way that I would ever shovel myself out of 60 inches of snow. It's impossible, out of my driveway. So my neighbor at the time, he had this Sears snowblower, and he just did the whole driveway. Took him a couple of days, but he did the whole driveway, and I got one just like it after that.
Wow.
So no more of that. I don't mind snow, but not 30 inches. Serena, what are you doing? What are you up to?
I am working on Lumberjack and OWC Radio and the Purple Heart movie, and onboarding some new staff and putting in a Jupyter Callisto server. It's going to be organizational time over the holidays. I'm not going to take any time off. When it's quiet and the staff is all on vacation, I'm going to be sitting here organizing what I feel like needs to be organized. And guess what? It was 43 degrees this morning at like 7:00 in San Diego.
Oh, is that right?
And I had to,
Wow.
when I went outside, the top of the bird bath water was frozen. Not real thick, but can you believe that?
In
San
California?
Diego? Yes, the bird bath water. I said, poor birds. So I cracked it open.
We got a comment from That's Too Big. Sorry, Yari, it's a little bit too big. I'm going to put it down there. Hello, Richard, Brad, Serena, Tangier. And Tony, greetings from Finland, where Santa is from. There you go. Santa's from Finland.
Put a good word in for us for Santa.
I was never clear where exactly he was from, but now I know. Yari. I saw Yari at, was it NAB? Yes, NAB in 2018 or 2019, right, Yari? We met there. And Tangier, what are you up to in LA?
In LA, I am teaching high school students. Very ambitious year of trying to introduce them to 3 NLE systems that does not
Don't say
change
it. Don't say it. No, I thought you were going to say doesn't include Final Cut Pro. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, no. My loyalties and preference far are still lie there. It's more out of I feel compelled to teach students a track-based system.
Sure.
NLE. But I'm just wrapping up a film I worked on called Jasmine Star, about a 16-year-old young lady with albinism who aspires to be a model in her hometown of Minnesota. And I'm moving on to a documentary right now and a scripted film about PTSD.
Wow.
Those sound like noble endeavors.
Are you going to take advantage of the tax breaks in Duluth, Minnesota? Can you do any work there?
Oh, no.
They have money available.
I didn't know that I could, but the film is pretty much done. So.
Oh, too bad.
I just got the final sound mix about 3 days ago. So it's pretty much, at this point it's make trailers or additional trailers and things like that. It's on the festival circuit. We're starting to be. So, and moving on to those other 2, one involving some things happening in Haiti. That's the documentary.
Right.
And the PTSD scripted.
So Tangier, you teach high school kids?
I do. I decided to test the waters a few years ago just to see what it's like. And I teach at a high school in El Segundo, California called Da Vinci Communications. And I teach media production. So I'm essentially building their media production program, both in the classroom, but also live events. So They have an entire... They put a lot of money into their new theater. Apple actually, I think the Apple recently shot there for All Mankind.
Oh, okay.
So I'm teaching them how to use a control room for live events. We have a really state-of-the-art control room they put in there in the theater, as well as teaching them production.
So the question I have is, if you're
Sure.
teaching 3 NLEs, do the kids have a preference for any of the 3? I'm just curious.
So sure, because this is a relatively new, what they call a pathway, as a lot of schools have now. 11. It's kind of like a major before going to college. You have to kind of choose which direction you want to go. In my pathway, the media production, they don't have a preference to answer your question just yet, because many of the students they only know whatever editing they've done on TikTok or iMovie or Capwing. Some people say Capwing, so I call it Capwing online. These online platforms. They're none of them are nearly as robust as any of the NLEs that we're used to, but they're being introduced to hopefully all 3. And I say hopefully because I'm realizing quickly my ambitions are huge within an academic year. However, realistically, I might have to scale some of those down. Because there's hurdles that I didn't anticipate. Like, not everybody's a Mac user. I have to deal with that.
That's even worse than not using Final Cut, as far as I'm concerned.
And then there's just the nature of it's just when they see something like a Final Cut or a Resolve or a Premiere, I think it's the initial response for most is they're very intimidated by this interface that they don't have a clue what to do with. Because their whole world is on their phones. And I got on my students, because of, like, for them, what I would call shallow depth of field. I had to get on them. They called them, what is it on our phones?
Cinematic. Portrait, yes.
I said, what is this called? And they said, portrait mode. And I thought, no, I can't have you up here. I'm like, no, that cannot happen, you guys. We have to have a fundamental understanding of what this is called.
In the real world.
So their whole world, for the most part, revolves around their phones. And it's really interesting. So it's kind of undoing that sensibility a little bit. But not denying use, but we use the phones also. We do use the phones in class, as well as some Blackmagic cameras and Panasonic and JVC, things like that.
What about, do they like to film vertical, or do you have to convince them to go horizontal?
They do, Tony, yes, they do. And that's another thing I'm trying to get them out of. It's actually pretty hard to get them to shoot this way.
Well, just show them what it looks like on a computer screen.
Right.
These big black pillars on the side, and then you can't really see anything. But so the question I have, you're talking about getting them to use shallow depth of field rather than portrait mode or portrait whatever. What do you tell them about a project when Final Cut?
I haven't gotten there. I'm not going to confuse them yet. So the reality is, and you all please weigh in, because I'm certainly relatively new to teaching, but the reality is I've decided to make Final Cut the last one that they learn.
Ooh.
Now, hear me out.
No, obviously you're punishing them first, and then you're going to give them the reward.
Well, several things. That's one good perspective. The reality is that in an education environment, I really kind of have free reign, right? But they want students they want it skills-based learning and something that they can use when they leave school, whether they go to college or not. And so that's kind of the compulsion to say, okay, here's a track-based NLE system that you're going to have to know how track-based systems work, right? So they're working through that. And by the time they get to their third, fourth project, then I'll introduce them to Final Cut. And I think they're going to appreciate the differences that much more. And by that time, they will have had more shooting experience, production experience. Hopefully, the culmination of their best projects will actually happen in Final Cut.
So basically what you're saying is, like, you're showing them what the past was, history, and then here's what...
Yes,
what
Tony said.
It reminds me of when they taught me cursive in, like, elementary and middle school, and said that I'd have to write essays in cursive when I got to college, and then I typed them on a word processor, and that turned out to be a big fat lie. So, sure, teach them tracks.
How much trigonometry have you used as an adult?
Yeah,
well, I'm sure
and cursive, even cursive is kind of, students struggle with writing cursive.
Sorry, fountain pen and cursive. I still love it.
Well, I do too. I have one right here. I mean, the fountain pens are great. Tony, what are you doing? What are you up to?
Right now, we're doing a couple things. At the office, we've got a hospital campaign that it's kind of a miniature doc / promo / commercial ads. So it's more like promomentary approach. And we have some other tourism stuff we're doing for some other clients. So we're pretty busy. I think we're done with all the productions this year, and it's just post-production. So we're editing in Resolve and Final Cut and just going crazy.
You don't have a shoot this Saturday?
This Saturday?
Christmas. Christmas.
Maybe.
You know what? To your point, Brad, I made the mistake because of your point about having something to do on Christmas Day. I'll let you guys in on something. I made the mistake for some reason. I thought that my wife would be at work today, right? I don't know why she's not, but I thought she'd be at work today. So I thought, okay, great. Yeah, this works out perfect. I can be on with Richard and company and everyone. And then today's my anniversary.
Did you forget that, Tangier?
No, I did not forget our anniversary.
Okay.
I just thought, well, she's going to be at work for most of the day or maybe half the day or something like that. And it turned out that she wasn't. So she's fine. She's completely fine. It's okay. But yeah, today's our anniversary. So
yeah.
Oh my God. I have to tell you guys what Tony just did. I'm gonna brag about you, Tony.
No.
What was done on your own time, away from work. No, I opened up my mailbox the other day, and Tony was this was like one of those surprises that you get that somebody does for you that's creative, and it just kind of makes your day. I opened up my mailbox, and there is a link, and I go to the link, and there is a short promo for Lumberjack. And it was so well done and so concise and on point. And I looked at that and I went, why didn't I do anything like that? And it was great. And we're going to use it. I think I'll put the link when it's up. I'll put the link in one of our newsletters. But thank you. Public thank you. And a recognition of the fact that it's really hard to tell a story and promote something in under a minute. You did it in a few seconds.
When I heard
you guys make a great product.
I pictured a physical mailbox, by the way.
Yeah.
And you opened it up, and he made a Christmas card, and it was so nice.
So did I. Until you said link, I thought, oh, okay, this is a digital thing.
It was real quick. I just made it physically and send it.
It's really cute, and it's right on point. It's so good. But that's how, in the creative community, we all help each other. And especially at this time of year, you're thinking about the people you care about and our little group here. And it's wonderful. Thank you.
So when people ask, sometimes they ask about pricing. Oh, I got this 1 minute video, 2 minute video. How much will it cost? And when I give them a price and they're like, whoa, that's a lot of money. And I say, what do you think a 30-second, the length of time has nothing to do with how much it's going to cost. What do you think a 30-second commercial costs that runs during Super Bowl?
Yeah.
It's only 30 seconds. It's only 30 seconds.
Right. It's a couple million per second.
Yeah, exactly. So the length of time has nothing to do with how much things are going to cost. Other factors are involved.
Yeah.
Much more.
Yeah.
So access to that.
So I know three of us, Tony, me, and Brad, all use Resolve as well as Final Cut. Tony, are you about 50-50 now or 60-40 with Resolve as far as editing?
It's definitely 50-50. Sometimes it might go 60-40. Right now it's 50-50. We've got two big projects, and one's in Resolve and one's in Final Cut. 50-50.
So when I talk to people, I was talking to my friend Alex Roculia from Italy yesterday, and we were talking about Final Cut Pro, and it seems that the development has slowed down over the last 3 years, and of course he brought up the COVID situation as an excuse. So what I do now, I have a dictionary of excuses. I have a dictionary of excuses that NLEs. I have one bookmarked right here, all the excuses that the NLEs give for why. And then all I said to him was, what about black magic? over the same time period. What have they done? They didn't use that as an excuse. I'm not saying that the Final Cut Pro team is using it as an excuse. People are offering it as an excuse as to why there's been seems to have been slower development. But I do have this available if anybody wants me to look up something. I'll look it up.
I think you should read some of them to us.
Well, I look them up when I say I have that in my book. I have that. We have that one, so we don't have to go over it again.
Is it going to be published soon? Hardback cover?
It's funny, my assistant and I on the movie Flipper in the Bahamas, we were shooting for Universal, and we kept a list of everything that went wrong during the production. And at the end, there was this long list of hurricanes, mosquitoes the size of cats, mud, rain, people fighting. It was amazing. So excuses.
That Jaws shark, wouldn't it work?
Yeah.
For problems, I mean, that's for sure. But at least we don't have some of the problems that some of the productions are having. So it seems like everything's going to Netflix and Disney Plus and Apple Plus. And so those are still Hollywood productions, right? They have to be, even though they're on television.
Essentially.
Because the quality is superb on some of these television shows. So I'm just presuming, I mean, it may not be Marvel, level hundreds of millions of dollars, but there's certainly, the quality is, and the stars that they're getting. Nicolas Cage used to be a movie star. Now every time I turn around, he's got a new movie out on one of the Hulu or whatever. Yeah, it never made the theaters. It went right to television. So
I know that Apple was in some bidding war with Netflix over a show recently. So I can't remember the name of the show, but I just read an article about that. So there'll be situations where you'll have a studio or network studio making a show, and then they bid on it, or maybe a movie plays at a film festival, and then they'll see it, and Apple, Netflix, and whoever will bid on it. So it's not always like developed right internally. But
it's all being done in Hollywood, I guess, right? LA?
Yeah, the term Hollywood seems so outdated now. It doesn't seem like there really is a Hollywood anymore. I'm seeing it a lot now because all the screeners are starting to come. It's that time of year. And called my daughter and I said, "Why don't you come over? We'll watch a movie." And I said, "Here's what I've got." And everything was, "I've seen it, I've seen it, I've seen it, I've seen it." And I'm thinking that almost everything is streamed now. The distribution window between theatrical and online for Dune was 10 days. So it was in the theaters for 10 days and then it went to streaming. And, in the old days, that would have been criminal. I worry about the theaters staying in business. Mm-hmm. And as a filmmaker, if you make one of those big movies and people are watching it on an iPad, it really makes you wonder where all the money, why spend all that money? But they do look beautiful.
Yeah, they do. Absolutely do.
Yeah. I think Hollywood is old. It's just so last year.
Serena, I want to just mention one thing. I don't think that is authentic TP material on there in your background.
I am virtually camping.
No, I don't think the material is authentic American Indian.
Probably not.
The red plaid, I don't think they had that.
I had to get that for Philip and Greg. That's my homage to my partners. And if I can't go camping personally, at least I can go camping virtually. So welcome to my campground.
I was just looking at that when I had you on full screen. I said, wait a minute, that doesn't look like it's authentic.
Getting more over Jennifer Lawrence's new film. That's probably what I was reading.
Yeah. Yeah, that was one of them. I've seen a couple of things. And then just recently, Disney and YouTube had a spat where YouTube Plus or whatever the thing is, YouTube Pro, Disney was dropping out of their platform. Now they came back, so they're back again. But it's good that these we have such incredible quality television right now that used to be in the theaters. So if the theaters happen to die off, as long as the production values stay up, that's good. You know, the quality. Because I'm watching shows. You know, I'm probably like you all. I get an app a la carte per month. I don't subscribe to all of them, and I don't have cable television anymore. I've dropped that, you know, a couple years ago. So like right now I'm on Hulu. I've been on Hulu for 2 or 3 months, and I'm watching all the programs that I want on Hulu. In January, I'm going to switch to Apple TV for a month because they have some shows that I want to catch up on, you know, watch them as all at once. But I used to have Netflix all the time. Not anymore. I dropped it. I watched what I wanted to see. Now I just go to Hulu, or I went on a couple of other ones. I'm going to go on HBO for a while. I want to see that new Beatles 6-hour documentary for sure. I was a big Beatles fan when I was coming up, and a lot of this stuff was never seen before. So I want to watch that. That's on Disney Plus, right?
That's on Disney,
Yep.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet, so don't spoil it. Don't tell me what happens to the Beatles, please.
Do you binge watch?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, me too. I get upset when I have to wait a week to see the next episode now.
Yeah.
I do with Ted Lasso.
Yeah, but that's
Lasso.
spoiled.
And they're
Yeah.
going, stay tuned next Friday. I'm going, what? Next Friday? Are you kidding me? I
Right.
want it tonight.
But I just wait till it's over and then watch them. That's what I do.
Yeah.
You
I
know?
can't do that. I have to see it now.
No, I agree. Netflix did that, right? Netflix had the binge watching. They started years ago. So it's become the staple. But I think Apple TV is, like you said, is still week by week.
So is Disney. Disney Plus.
So is
does
Disney?
that.
Okay.
Yeah, they do that as well.
Amazon.
Well, they're stretching out the subscription model because they get paid $4.99 a month on a subscription. And Richard, if you go in for a month, watch what you want, and then leave, they're not making enough money. Well, that's arguable, but they're not making as much money.
Well, wait, look what Christopher said. Spider-Man's new film made a record $260 million in its opener. Now, is it any good? Don't tell me what it's about, because I like to watch Spider-Man, but is it any good?
It must be.
I enjoyed it.
Okay. It's not, you know, becoming one of these Marvel, we got to be politically correct on everything we do, storylines and stuff.
Probably. I haven't seen it yet, but I would
get
bet.
that sensibility.
Good.
I also do. I haven't seen Eternals, so I don't know. I
didn't see Eternals. No.
Yeah, how that fits.
It comes out in January and on Disney Plus. So I'm just
See, there you go. There you go. Now, here's the thing. I enjoy going to a theater. I enjoy it. I don't know, but right now, because of the situation, but I'm not going to go in there and wear a mask and stuff. I'd rather wait. But I physically enjoy going to a theater and seeing films on the big screen. So certain films, like obviously the Marvel films and Spider-Man, they're just made for the big screen. So I would certainly still go. You know, I have a couple of theaters. There are ones in Westminster, ones in, where's the other one? Columbia that I go to.
There's such a great energy when you're in a room full of folks, and you
Yes.
can just feel, you know, it's either a comedy or it's a scary movie or it's a big Marvel spectacle. It's like that energy. You can just, I like that aspect a lot, but
that
at the same
kid
time,
kicking
it's
your
like,
seat, that baby crying.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Spills the milk
I
duds.
have-
curtains and popcorn.
I have to admit, I was very annoyed when I saw Spider-Man because I was so not used to being in a theater. All of a sudden, going back to a theater and hear so much crackling and munching and kids and phones going off, I just thought, oh my gosh.
Phones are inexcusable in a theater. Popcorn munching, you really can't do anything about that. You got to move away from somebody.
Not so much, it's more like, you're probably right. It's more like the
wrappers,
all the opening of the wrappers, and it's just like, can I just listen?
Well, your hearing is hypersensitive now because you've been in your house all these months. So.
Isn't that why they have a half hour of trailers and ads though before the movie, so that people get through all their
sometimes to the point where I forgot why I came. It's like, what am I here to see again?
Right, exactly.
That's intentional. It'll be fresh when it starts.
Yeah. I'm curious though. I wanted to ask you guys, Richard, after something where you were talking about the different platforms, because a coworker and I, we were talking about this. Do you guys think that Apple's lineup for their platform is there any cachet because it's Apple TV? Because they don't have as much content, but does it give the illusion that their content is somehow more premium because it's so selective? We were debating this idea of Apple TV's content versus
to viewers
like a
or
Netflix.
to people making
To viewers.
production?
To viewers. To viewers. Yeah.
You know,
Because
Apple.
he was arguing that it's all, false, that it's people think that Apple TV's content and their lineup is more premium than you would find on other platforms because they don't have as much. And I said,
Not
no,
HBO.
Yeah.
They're
Oh
not.
gosh, no.
No,
Yeah.
there's no. Apple is starting out, and I have been pleasantly surprised at some of the content that they put out. I was expecting more family friendly and G-rated. No. If you watch Servant, M. Night Shyamalan's movie, it is dark. It is really dark, and it's really captivating. The actresses and actors. It's my favorite show, and I'm so pleasantly surprised that they endorse that. When there's a couple of other ones too. C is pretty not family friendly.
Yeah,
It's another one. So I'm glad that they're doing that. I'm glad they're not restricting only that kind of content. Just the G-rated stuff. I don't even know if Disney is doing that, or they have some other stuff that's perhaps
obviously generally more family friendly. Also, Disney's been editing movies like Splash. They had to cover the young lady's bottom because that wasn't family friendly enough. So they extended her hair, and it looks really creepy.
Is it like the mustache on Superman when they had
kind of, yeah. Just look it up. It's really, it's like, is that hair growing from the middle of her back? Like, where is that coming from?
That's disturbing. That's very disturbing. Yeah. So we also have some apps to give away today. Did you know that? I gave away.
What are we doing?
That's cool.
Our friend from Altimedia, Alex Raculia, is giving away copies of his brand new app. It's called Converter. It's a Converter app, and converts video files, audio files, and image files. So I have copies of that to give away today. So if you say something clever or get my attention in some other way, you will win a copy. I'll give you a grab this. Not you guys. No, I'm not talking about you guys. Come on. You guys can afford to buy it.
So, Richard, does it convert HEIC to either JPEG or TIFF or something else like that?
I don't know. It's not just a generic converter. He made this for himself, and then okay. Christopher wins a copy. Here's his comment: watermelon and cheese. What the heck? I have no idea what that means. Christopher, you want a copy? You want a copy of?
Christopher, you're hired.
I have no idea.
Awesome! Congratulations, Christopher.
No idea what the heck that means, but you got my attention. So you know how to contact me, Christopher. We message back and forth all the time. Just send me information. Don't do it now. I'm not going to stop the show just to send you your information. But see, that's how easy it is to win. I got 5 copies to give away. 5 more copies to give away. So,
what's the name of it? What's it called?
I'll pull it up here in a second. It's alti.media. And it's his new app is called Converter. Let me pull it up, her website up here, and I'll just show it to you.
And it's a Mac app?
Yes. He doesn't do Windows, thank God.
Yeah, but you know what? More and more people that I know are going to Windows. I'm shocked.
Even
I'm
with
shocked
the M1,
at how many people going to Windows.
Even with the performance disparity between the two machines now.
What's happening is a lot of the younger generation is into gaming, and they're using Windows and Windows-based computers for gaming. I think a lot of your students 10 years probably are using Windows machines at home.
No, I know.
They are. In fact,
sure.
There's an esports club, and it's all Windows-based. Although when I shared them some performance with that particular club on the M1, they kind of got a little nervous. But it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I mean, the games are not being made for Apple yet to that extent. But when I explained to them the performance, especially whether it's laptop, or forthcoming desktops, other than the iMac, it piqued their interest. It really, really did, for the price, because some of them have spent a lot of money building their own machines just for gaming on Windows. And now after I talked to them, and these are people who don't use Macs at all, they kind of felt like, oh my gosh, they've been robbed by spending all that money.
No, I say the gaming argument. I mean, I grew up in the '90s, so there was pretty much Apple was on the decline, and
just a baby.
Apple was on the decline though, and everyone was getting Windows machines, and PC gaming was really taking off in the '90s. And I don't think Apple has ever really had the same presence, but with iPads, iPhones, and game developers developing for that, and now with the M1, I think Apple would like to get more of that gaming market. But at the same time, I also, as I grew up, had less time for gaming, so it's even less important to me, as an adult and a parent. Then, I mean, we'll play Mario Kart online every week, but that's about it.
We have another winner.
PC.
We have another winner. Tim Whitmore. Didgeridoos are better than guitars. Debate me.
Prove me wrong.
I got a 69 Strat back there. I definitely will debate you, but I'll send you a copy of the app. How about that, Tim?
But I also have friends that have both, by the way, that are PC gamers, but then they have their Macs for video editing and that type of work. So
I would
there's
say
a
too,
good
Apple's
market now
both.
for virtual backgrounds and virtual sets and stuff like that, right? There's a good marketplace.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Unreal Engine. I was going to say, as long as Apple stays with current with what people are using out there, like Unreal, and that can stay relevant to gaming.
So, Tony, tell me why Unreal Engine keeps absconding with my entire computer. It takes over, and I can't. It's just like I'm doing something wrong. We'll talk offline.
It's Unreal.
Yeah, there you go.
It's unreal, the problems I'm having. Yeah, it starts automatically even when you tell it not to, and then it holds your computer hostage until you can figure out how to bring another app up, and it's kind of a nuisance. Must be doing something wrong. Yeah. So we'll figure it out.
So we got a few comments. Look at an M1 Mac. So Brad, have you got your M1 Mac yet?
No, that's a funny story.
It's not that funny.
You want to hear it?
Sure.
Yeah.
So I called a local reseller where I buy locally, because in Utah, film and TV businesses get sales tax exempt status. Not tax exempt, but sales tax. And anyway, I called them up the day it was announced. I saw that they'd listed on their website. And they wrote down my order, and then like the day before Thanksgiving, I got a call saying, "Oh, sorry, we wrote this down, but nobody actually placed the order."
Oh,
So we do have a similar model on order that should arrive sooner if you want that, or we'll also order yours as a backup, and we'll just let you know which one gets in first. So I'm on standby to see. I mean, it's not. Like I said, I have projects starting more in the spring that I'm looking forward to testing the hardware on, but it's not devastating. It's just a little disappointing. I was going. Well, I think Richard ordered the one that I was.
Do you want to touch mine, Brad? Will that hold you over? Just rub it.
I was in Costco playing with a few of them, and I was like, "Oh man, these are amazing."
Can I babysit it, Richard? Can you
what are those
send it
stats,
over here?
Richard? I think
yes,
I
can.
You ended up ordering the one that I was.
Well, I ordered I ordered the 4 terabyte drive because I talked to you.
Yeah.
I originally had the 2 terabyte, and I talked to you, and you said you got the 4 terabyte. And I started thinking, I said, I can't have a 2 terabyte if Brad's got a 4 terabyte. What happens when we're at the Creative Summit? Come on, you automatically win. So, but I don't know why. Have no idea how I lucked out. I ordered it within 5 minutes. I ordered the 2 terabyte, full spec, everything, the space gray. And then they went on sale at the Apple store And I checked my local Apple store in Columbia, and they had the exact model that I wanted with 4 terabyte. They had it in stock that first morning, so I bought it, but I didn't cancel my other order until I got the thing in my hands. So I went there and I bought it. I couldn't believe they had that high-end model at an Apple store.
Lucky.
Yeah.
I was really lucked out.
Ordered it and canceled.
Yeah.
That's my guess.
Probably.
There's another Richard out there who did the same thing.
Yeah, it could have been. Plus,
it was mine.
Well, that's true. It was probably Brad's.
We have one.
This war between you guys goes deep, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
We have a 14 inch sitting under the tree. My son doesn't know.
He does now. He does now.
He's not here. He's not here.
He's watching on the internet. There's this thing called the internet, Tangier. He's watching on the internet. He said, "Look, my dad. Look, there's my dad."
No, it was he'll have the only M1 in the house. I'm waiting.
Not for long. Not for long. You gave it to him so you can grab it and use it. I knew what that's about.
I do want to. My wife actually asked me yesterday, "Are you going to keep borrowing his laptop all the time?" I said, "I'm going to do my best not to, but until I get my own next year." But he's done so well in school, and then the pandemic hit and all these other things. Not that he's older now. He wants his own computer, and so. We went ahead and got him one, so it's fine. He's been using a Mac, like what is it, a 2015, maybe even before that, Mac Mini at home. It's still been fine, but it's showing its age, even though I've upgraded the hard drive and RAM and things like that, and it's just not. Yeah, so it's time. So
listen, this SSD, I'm telling Serena, do you have an M1 yet? One of these new Mac Pro?
Yeah, well, but I have the 24-inch iMac. I got impatient and I ordered the little iMac. I wish I had waited.
This SSD, this MacBook Pro, this 4 terabyte, it has 7,000 megabytes per second, and on I forget what it was, read or write, and then the other one's like 6,500. It's double what my Mac Pro is.
Wow.
It's crazy fast speeds.
For me, the biggest thing has been the battery. Oh my gosh. It is. I've been editing all morning and then doing this on battery. It's been.
Do you have one of the new ones, Tony?
Yeah. I got the 16-inch. I didn't get the 4 terabyte. I got the 2 terabyte.
Yeah.
But everything else is maxed out.
Okay, well, when you're at the Creative Summit or NAB, we'll compare them. Yours versus the 4 terabyte.
What's NAB?
What is NAB? So listen, Apple has reversed courses like 4 times on their product line. From the 2013 Mac Pro, they reversed it. Then they came out with the 2019 Mac Pro. Gave everything back that they took away. Did the same thing with the MacBook Pro. 2016, all your ports are gone except for Thunderbolt.
Yeah.
2021, all your ports are back except for with 3 Thunderbolts. They did the same thing. Listen, that stinky remote control for the Apple TV, the little slippery one that had no...
Oh my gosh.
I hated that thing.
I do too.
They reversed, came back with this old scroll wheel like the old iPod used to have. Mm-hmm. Plus, you still have the this little bit of a up and down.
Does it look like a scroll wheel? I never use it like that. I click the buttons. But
no, it does. You can scroll forward. You can scroll backward. It's just like the click wheel on the original iPads. Yeah, I mean the iPods. So that's 3 things they reversed, and there's something else they reversed. Oh, the iPhones. Okay, thinner.
Right.
Now 2020, the 12 and the 13, both thicker, protruding lenses. Johnny Eyes must be rolling over in his, when he's dreaming, having nightmares. Protruding lenses, oh my God, on an iPhone. But it's better. It's beefier. It has better battery life. We have better lenses because of that, better photography. I don't want the Pro line of Apple products to be thin and be restricted in physically. I want them big and beefy. So the same with the MacBook Pro. It's thicker than the one last year.
Would you rather, Richard, that they keep the same shape of the current Mac Pro and just put an M-class chip, whatever that's. Or,
I can't see that happening.
They're going to be. I don't either. I'm just saying, would you want it to stay that form factor and have it big and beefy and support a lot of cards?
Well, the Mac Pro is going to be interesting. I certainly don't want them to go back to the 2013 Mac Pro design or to the Cube, but I can see a form factor in between this giant behemoth that I have, which it's probably, it has 8 PCIe slots. So I've never used all 8. I think I have using 4. In 2 years, I've only used 4. So, but they had you remember the Afterburner card? The big deal was $2,000.
$2,000.
But it was only for ProRes. I was waiting for one for H2, H.264, H.265 acceleration, and I'll look at it. I didn't want that other one, $2,000. But I can see a form factor smaller, but
the
you're still going to have
Pro chip does all of the H.264, HEVC.
Right. It has 2 encoders. Right.
Did the Mac Pro not have the T or some variation?
T2.
Of the T2
it had the
chip?
T2.
It does?
Yeah, it did.
I thought part of that was responsible for
It was. It was. Okay. But I'm just saying that Afterburner card, the idea was really cool, but they didn't. Nobody expanded on that.
If they opened it to Red RAW and
yes.
Canon RAW.
It'd be great to customize that card.
Absolutely.
Need. Then you could just use it as a powerhouse to chug through whatever it is that you had to do, which has been great. It'd be interesting if they could do something similar to that Mac Pro, but with the M process. You could just upgrade your M or add more M1 modules.
Right. That's what I've read, that they can be put in, gang together. You can have multiple versions of it. I also read that the lineup? 2022 for the iMac Pro, Apple said they're getting rid of the iMac Pro. Now it's coming back again, apparently.
I love the iMac. I do too. My iMac.
Absolutely.
It's a wonderful machine.
We had one at work though die in like the first few weeks, but I think it's just a one-off. But we have a lot of them, the new iMacs with M1s, but one of them just completely, you couldn't even be repaired. They just had to replace it. It just died.
Wow.
So my point about, this one, Christopher said they listened to the users when they reversed it. They reversed the 2013 Mac Pro. They reversed the MacBook Pro, gave us support. Who thought that Apple was going to submit to what users wanted and give us a card reader, HDMI port, MagSafe, and Thunderbolt ports? Who thought they were going to do that?
But it was interesting when the
HDMI spec yet.
Well, the 2016 MacBook Pro came out shortly after. I remember at this NAB thing that Tony says doesn't exist. I ran into Michael Cioni, and he was ranting about the 2016 MacBook Pro and holding his up and saying, like, it's not going to be that long before they switch back and put an HDMI port on here, because some Apple executive is going to go do a presentation and they're going to forget their dongle and they're going to have some issue and they're going to complain. And like, why did we remove this port? And sure enough, I figured at some point, at least on a bigger laptop, they would bring back that. I didn't know if they'd bring back the SD card slot, because there's so many different media card formats, and now we're moving even to like wirelessly transferring, photos and things.
Right.
So it's an interesting, how long will we be using physical media is a good question. But at least for the next few years, I think we will.
I guess my point is they listen to the users and all these circumstances. They listen to the users.
Do.
But my point is, what about Final Cut Pro?
It's
listening.
done.
Yeah, where's
10 years? They
where's
ticked off everything on the
tracking?
list.
Yes,
Richard,
yes,
it's all done.
Yes, some people think that Final Cut Pro doesn't need anything. It's perfect the way it is. That's fine. You can certainly. That's your opinion. That's completely fine. It's not done for me by any stretch of the imagination. But my point is, they went back and they gave users all these things after they were saying, you don't need ports on your MacBook Pro. You don't need a Mac Pro that's configurable with PCI. You don't need that stuff. You guys know what you're talking about. That remote control for Apple TV is fine. We know what's best for you. No, you don't. Same with Final Cut Pro. Listen to the users. Listen to the users. To the users. Well, because the Apple Final Cut Pro team watches this. That's why I do that.
They used to watch
Richard,
it, and I just got tired of you asking for features. And
so, something you've talked about a lot, Richard, is kind of as speculation on what might be coming with successive updates and things like that. Do any of you guys remember what the specific wording was about this 10-year life cycle? Because the reason I'm asking is, could it be that, because I know it's not quite maybe everything we want, although it's good. Could it be that they're yet with the new chips and the things that they're revamping Final Cut yet again? I doubt it. I personally doubt it. Doubt it, but I'm trying to remember what the language was with those 10 years. That 10 years life.
Yeah. So this is I'm sure Richard's pulling it up exactly, but it was part of the presentation at the sneak peek at NAB, and it was kind of a general statement thrown out by Richard Townhill, I believe, who was the product manager at the time, and he just said this is what we're going to be building on for the next 10 years.
The 10-year roadmap.
Okay.
The 10-year roadmap.
And the other thing about that, I mean, aside from product managers switching out over the years, is Philip Hodgetts wrote an article about this. Is Apple working on something else? And I specifically at a creative summit asked that question, and the reply back, generally speaking, was that wasn't like a fixed in stone sort of, thing. And if you look at all the work that they put behind, implementing Metal and Apple Silicon and rewriting the app for all of that, and apparently there was more optimizations this year. Yeah,
I have those in here.
Excuses.
The M2 and the Apple Silicon. Go ahead.
Yeah. But if you look at all the work that they've done behind the scenes to revamp it, I think that's a big difference between Final Cut 7 and this version of Final Cut, where Final Cut 7, they completely, they never made it 64-bit. It never took advantage of more RAM. Right. It never was taking advantage of all the new Apple hardware. Whereas this time around, they are taking advantage of all that, and they are rewriting the app. So that, to me, says that they're not working on something else that they're going to replace it with, but they're just rebuilding infrastructure of the current app to work in the future.
2 more instances of things that were reversed after Apple told us you wanted these things. How about the Apple Puck mouse? That was the worst mouse in the history of what? Who?
The current mouse is pretty stupid.
Well, it is because of the
charging.
Port. Yeah, the charging. We expect that to be finished.
The port.
You don't like dead
the puck. The puck. Yeah. Remember the puck on the original iMac? It was circular. You couldn't even know which direction you were pointing it in. Horrible.
Yeah, that one.
And the other thing is the keyboard. They changed the keyboard because people were complaining about that. I didn't have a complaint about it. Yeah, they switched that too. So my point is they listen to the users. They should, as they should. So with Final Cut, you'd be doing the same thing. 2 years ago at NAB, not NAB, the Creative Summit, the team at the private session, they said, we were talking about future developments or requests. And the first thing they brought up was dupe detection. We heard you loud and clear. We know about you guys want dupe detection. Well, 2 years later, we still don't have it.
I don't know what meeting you're talking about, Richard.
Well, you're not allowed to discuss, that's not a big deal, is it? That and the fact that they read the emails. I talk about that all the time.
They do want people to know that they read every email that goes in.
I think they do.
Said at the Creative Summit a lot is, yes, we read the feedback and we consider the feedback. And I've seen plenty of features over the years that myself and others have written in that have been implemented. I have no excuse. I don't have your book of excuses of why the last 3 years has slowed down.
Because I think they had the same thing that Richard has. They have a book of letters that people write in, and their book just keeps growing. And now it's more like a competition of that book growing.
Oh, gosh.
Well, it
Maybe
might
somebody
sound
had
like
a panic
small...
attack with the feature
yeah,
requests.
it might sound like a small change to us, but the back end
Yeah.
and the coding takes a long, long time. So we have to be patient.
Is
Yeah,
that in the
Richard,
book?
Page 235.
Like
I have
Richard
it.
says, though, but Black Magic.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
Everybody
it's
has
not
to do
like-
these things. These things are not specific to Final Cut Pro. Everybody
And
else
not
has
only
to.
do they have
Right.
to write it once, they have
Yeah.
to make sure it works across the board for PC
Right.
and Linux.
Here's the thing. So you guys know I'm a Final Cut Pro proponent. I've been it since version 1 before 10 ever came out. If there's a big update in our future, that's fine. That's fine. But if they just keep dribbling little updates over the next couple of years, it's not fine. It's not fine. You should listen to your users. Am I expecting a big update? I guess, but I wouldn't bet
But
on
What
it.
about
I
this
think it's
Friday?
just
There's
hard-
10.7 coming out.
I think it's disheartening when you see a feature like cinematic mode added to Final Cut. It's a cool feature, and it might mature into something great later. But it's just like cinematic mode. Are we promoting iPhones?
Like 3D text.
Yes.
We
Yes, they are
listen.
promoting
I mean,
Listen.
but 3D text was pretty powerful though. 3D. I mean, it seemed cheezy, but
It is.
its
It is very
usability
powerful.
was very powerful.
I did my
I've been playing
video
with
on.
the USDZ models. I think those it's a lot
Those,
of fun to
yes.
bring that into motion.
Yeah.
Right.
I think
Tony,
I think the reason
cinematic
why I
mode.
was-
Go ahead, Tangier. Sorry.
No, I think the reason why I was asking that question about the potential of them working on something is only because as much as we like updates and we complain about not having enough, I still sometimes, at least from people who are interested in trying Final Cut but maybe not too deep into it, there's still the taint of the 2011 rollout, and sometimes I wonder if Apple has any interest in breaking that by just doing something different altogether and doing it right from the beginning. Maybe not. I just
I don't know. I think they've lost their way. I think they have to really figure out who they're building this for, and stick to it. Versus it's kind of like half for the YouTuber, half for the professional. So it either commit and go all this way, or commit and go all this way. But I think it's like split too much. Like let's.
Do you-
let's
I
find
want
that
it all.
direction.
I want it
Yeah.
all. I want both sides of the coin. I'm happy with it. Richard, what would you really like that you don't have?
He has a website.
You got a list.
You can read. You
No,
can
I got a
I
list.
read
can,
his
I
list.
can name one thing that
Yeah.
bothers me every day because I work on very long, hour and a half long timelines. Right?
I know what it is. Go ahead.
Track. I want the cursor to track with me.
Scrolling
No,
timeline.
Yes, I do. Please,
absolutely.
can I have that Final Cut if you're listening?
As an option.
Please have it.
As an
Yes.
option. You don't have to turn it on if you don't want it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's.
Tony says cut page.
But what about?
They just have
Listen,
cut page at the top.
what about things like being able to scrub a project in the browser? What about being able to click and drag on a marker in the timeline? What about markers that stay in the sequence and are not attached to clips? There's so many
Yes,
things.
that's
So
good,
many
yeah.
things. So our friends, Intelligent Assistants, Greg and Philip, came out with this cool $4.99 app just recently on how to read a text file. Okay, so here's right here's an extension. Reading is
Actors
fundamental.
on screen.
Yeah, we're on screen. So this is a thing where you can read a text file without it going behind or copying. I don't know. I'm not sure how far. I bought it because I always buy their products. But
You figure
after
out what
10
it is after you buy it.
after 10 years, look at this guy. This is our Main Street down here. I'm doing like a little Christmas video, going through there and checking things. Now, if you guys notice, this is Final Cut Pro Live. You're watching Final Cut Pro Live in the app. I've been doing this for a year with a producer that I'm working with in Washington, D.C. I bring it up and we talk about things, and live, on these Ecamm
SharePlay
calls.
works with Final Cut.
I know it does, but I'm saying I've been doing it for a year, way before SharePlay came out, I guess, is what my point is. This is nothing new, and they had the whole thing in Final Cut 7 where you could do, I don't know how well it worked.
Theater was a little...
iChat Theater. I'm not sure how well it worked. I didn't use it that extensively in those days.
I didn't have fast enough internet for it to work.
Yeah, exactly. I don't, that's one of the problems. But, how many times have you heard collaboration with Final Cut? For years?
I feel like the root is for professionals flexibility and customization, because as you get into specific workflows, everybody's workflow is different and everybody's workflow needs become different. So like you said about the markers and the scrolling timelines, it's about flexibility and customization. Some people may want to be able to copy and paste masks or rename effects. The fact that we can make our own effect stacks is great, but if you have 4 or 7 color correctors, it'd be nice to be able to know which one is which and what am I using it for. So I think flexibility and customization comes to the root of, as you get more professional, we need to be able to customize these things for our specific workflows.
So as I work with DaVinci Resolve, the editor, I haven't got into Fusion, I haven't got into Fairlight, and haven't got into the color corrector, but just the editor. I messaged Tony when I have an issue about something or whatever. And I was really disappointed that you can't save effects presets in DaVinci, because I use those all the time. I customize, effects presets, and I save them and I categorize them with my own, little folder and stuff. And I was really disappointed. Well, this one here, for example, this is, so I have this main video as one. It's positioned a certain place and it's resized. And then I have this one, which is the camera facing me. This was filmed with Filmic Pro has that app. You can film both the front and back camera at the same time. So that's what I do. And I can save this in Final Cut. I can save both of these presets. So it just applied. They go to the right position. I have a little drop shadow on the one facing me. Can't do that in Resolve as far as saving a preset. There's workarounds, of course. Yeah. So, but I use this all the time.
Maybe if you and myself and one other person complain, they could write it in the next release.
I have no problem with the rate of development that DaVinci Resolve is headed. I mean, slow down, guys. You're making everybody else look bad. Please put the brakes on your development cycles. I mean, Brad buys a 6K camera, then they come out with a 6K Pro like a week later or something. It's just, you know what I mean? It's just like breakneck speed is what I mean. They just can't slow down, seems like.
Yeah, I was just thinking while we were talking about Tench, you're saying the 2011 rollout, I think it's ancient history, and if people are still holding on to that, that's on them. I don't think that's on Apple anymore.
No, I agree.
To Tony's point, I think that they do need to really have that soul-searching question of who we're making this for. I've always looked at Final Cut from the beginning as making an application for the future, people who want to be on the cutting edge of workflows and newer formats. And for a long time, I felt like they were at the top of that game in terms of, Red Raw and resolutions and, the VR thing and HDR tools. I mean, Final Cut still has the most convenient HDR tool. Now, it doesn't do like full-on Dolby Vision trimming and all that you can do in Resolve, but there's a lot of stuff for... you can pick up an iPhone, record an HDR, bring it in Final Cut, and do a lot with it. And I saw the Wall Street Journal lady complaining that she couldn't get her HDR stuff into Premiere. I had some workflows this year where people were shooting on their iPhones and they had that HLG mode on, and our colorists could not get it to work right in Resolve. And this HDR tools that Final Cut has is amazing. So those were all things being built up, over the years. That I think really, really indicated that they were trying to make the high end accessible for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And what I've seen the last 3 years is still they're on that road. You know, like we talk about wanting things like movable markers. Well, you know, the saving column views was also on that list for me of things that they need. Your color correctors is feedback I know they've received directly from colorists. So I think they're on that road. I have no explanation to as why the last 3 years have been as slow as they have. I mean, maybe a couple years ago I could make the excuse of silicon and metal, but my hope is that there can be a refocus of maybe accelerating and ramping up now that we in 2020, what was the Apple Silicon roadmap was 2 years, is what Tim Cook said.
A 2-year cycle to make the complete transition.
So next year is the complete transition. So next year should be the, hey, we're back and we're ramping up the features and we're listening. I know they're hearing this, and I think a lot of them would agree and nod and say, yes, we totally agree. I don't know what the process is like internally in terms of approving features and testing features and getting them rolled out. Well, I think with Blackmagic, there's just they don't have the same giant organization above them that is holding things, and saying, well, what makes a great demo? That's something that the guy who made Shake, blanking on his name right now, but the guy in charge of Shake, who wrote the book Art and Science of Digital Compositing, I was reading his blog, and he specifically said a lot of times what gets rolled out in Apple software as a new feature is something that demos really well. And some of the stuff that we want has to be hidden alongside some of those features because they're not, cinematic mode isn't and the motion tracking stuff is an awesome demo. But is duplicate detection really an awesome demo for them to put out?
Well, speaking of that, now Yari, our friend Yari, is going to get in a fight with Sean Lander. Look what he says.
I actually have to say I was a on the side of I don't need dupe detection, and then I did a couple projects and I cut one specifically as finishing Resolve was cut in Final Cut. And I ran dupe detection and Resolve, or I turned on dupe detection and Resolve, and I was like, crap, I have to fix this. So I've had to eat my own words on that.
Well, people have a tendency, it's human nature, that they want their list of things done, right? Yeah. Like dupe detection is not on even my top 10, but I've seen so many people request it. Same with BRAW. I don't shoot in BRAW, but so many people have requested that I'm a proponent. Let's get BRAW in Final Cut Pro. Other people are the opposite. I don't want that feature. No, I don't want that feature. I want my features. I want the features that I think you should. I want all of them. Within reason, of course.
Batch syncing.
While keeping performance and stability.
Yeah, that's carte blanche should be the bottom line on all the updates.
Yeah, absolutely understood.
So it's I don't know. I just
look at a thin line to keep.
Apple's probably got a lot of politics internally that we don't understand. Sure.
But why? But you say that. But how about the Logic team? They've been innovating much more than Final Cut has. Their list of when they do things is 20 times longer than Final Cut.
They've been adding a lot of stuff, but I don't know if I'd call it innovating. But I don't know enough about music apps to.
Well, you're right. You're right. But they're still not stag. They haven't been stagnated. I mean, they updated from 5 to 10.5 to 10.6. Now they're at 10.7. And it's not. Yeah, the innovation is. Final Cut was innovative when it first came out. I can't say they've been innovative in the last 3 or 4 years, even though they've given us. I mean, 10.4.9 was a big update. 10.4.4 was a big update. Those were both really big updates. The thing about, 10.5 was nothing. Okay, that was like just a marketing update for the M1 chips. And you can see from 10.5 to 10.6, what did we get? compared to all the other updates, we got hardly anything at all. So 10.6.2 starts out with 2 features. One is a very big feature. The motion tracking is very big. I understand that. But the cinematic mode is only for iPhone 13 users. They've never done that before. They have never had a feature that's dependent on an iPhone or any piece of singular hardware. I don't mind. I got the iPhone, so.
I hope that the underlying innovation behind that would be the neural engine. Now that we're pushing to go to M1 and how M1 can process that, I really feel like that's where they should push for innovation. The neural engines used for the tracking, for the object tracking, let's convert that to, person being able to track humans, figures, that type of organic figures.
Sure.
So I think the neural engine is potentially it's ripe for. I mean, think about using it for not only tracking people, but Apple came out with keywords for finding people, faces. Let's combine that. Let's be able to make custom keywords for people, so we can now have it. If you have a documentary, you want to be able to track all these different folks. So using the neural engine for that would be great. And what else can we do to push for that? To do, I want to select this person and I need to blur out their face in every shot that's in my timeline.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Oh
Things
yeah.
like that would
I
be
agree.
just great to be able to say, select this second actor or the second person, blur out their face because we don't have the rights to them. And the same thing for audio. Can we use it to be able to detect background music or those types of things where that could just make our lives much more easier? How do we use that neural engine to be able to not only use like the flow transition to do visual transitions, but is there a flow transition for auditory as well? So to me, that's where they should push as much. I mean,
point.
Premiere, Adobe's Sensei, they're pushing hard on that as well. So Apple's got to catch up and push faster.
So I haven't used Premiere for a long time. How is it in 2021? Is it still crashy? And compare? You don't know. What about you, Brad? I mean, compare it to DaVinci Resolve. Do you have an opinion about Premiere?
I haven't been on it. I still see people grumbling about it. That's all I know.
Okay.
Same here. My post friends that I talk to, they say it's still just horrible to work with.
Well, I'm proud.
To restart.
I'm proud of all of you for not using Premiere. You saw that Apple Tech note that I had that one time. It said, wash your hands for 30 seconds after using Premiere before you start editing on Final Cut Pro.
That's so mean.
Yes, I agree with that.
If if Premiere crashes, you wait 24 hours before you touch Final Cut Pro.
Oh,
so,
geez. On Tony's point about cinematic mode specifically, like I've always thought that the whole, adjusting your depth of field and focus in post is the way camera technology is going to go. At some point, professional cameras and this computational photography that we're seeing is going to merge.
Yes.
And the fact that Final Cut they're using iPhone and their own technology, but if they can build on that and ready, a really cool camera comes out from Canon or someone else to implement some similar technology would be really awesome. And the ability to actually utilize depth maps in a intuitive, easy way, where we could start placing these USDZ objects and this 3D text in our images. There's I see the breadcrumbs, I see the little pieces of where this could go, and that's the hope of, and that would be truly innovative for an editing application to get there.
Sure. Do I think that Final Cut is finished? No. I'm hoping that there's a nice big update on our future. That's just the way I am. First off, Final Cut is absolutely my number one NLE that I go to all the time. It has so many features, even though not in the last 3 years, so many features that I absolutely depend on. But, DaVinci Resolve is certainly another NLE that I really like. And here's one of the interesting things about NLEs. I interviewed Terry and Chris from LumaFusion 2 weeks ago, and LumaFusion is one of the iOS apps that allows their app to be opened up on M1 Macs, right? So I said, this is great. So got it. It's not really designed for a Mac. But Chris said he has dedicated, they're a small company, 2 people to make the Mac version of LumaFusion better. Specifically to make the Mac version of LumaFusion better. So that's not all they do, but he's dedicated 2 people to that. So I'm excited that LumaFusion will at some point be a neat little NLE on the Mac, because I really like LumaFusion a lot. I don't have an iMac Pro. I mean, an iPad Pro, so I don't use it as much as I would if I had one that I could, main thing where you can attach the SSD to it and add it off of that. So
I think
didn't Apple just name LumaFusion the video editing app of the year? Which
iPad app of the year.
I'm sorry, the iOS
iPad app of the year. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you heard that story, they contacted Terry. Yeah, contacted Terry and said, you should be in your office at this date on this time. Apple contacted. You should be in your office on this date and this time. And they physically delivered her a heavy award, App Store award, that said, do not open until this date and this time. So she got the package, and it was heavy, and she wasn't supposed to open it, which she didn't. And then all the winners got on a call with Apple, including Tim Cook, by the way, and they opened their presents online to just the private little session. Yeah. That was really, really cool. Absolutely.
Nice.
Yeah,
they're good people.
I think that LumaFusion could very much be, even if it's a third party, I think they could be that YouTuber app that Tony was alluding to. It'd be nice to see Final Cut push more of the high-end stuff. But the Final Cut way is always to grab that high-end stuff and make it really easy to use.
Digestible and simple and clean.
Yeah. But don't restrict it for professionals. I agree with that. But like, for example, Bezier curves in Final Cut. Keyframing in Final Cut is like, I always call it, it's like keyframing on an Etch-a-Sketch, if you guys know what an Etch-a-Sketch is. That's what it reminds me of. Compared to Motion. Motion has a fantastic keyframe editor. So don't make it simple and not give professionals the ability to get in there when they need to. Just like Logic has a professional level preferences you can turn on and off. Keep it simple. As a matter of fact, when you first open Logic, it has wooden panels on the side, just like sound. What is it? GarageBand. That's what it opens up with, and then you got to go into the preferences and turn on a series of pro level preferences. Do the same with Final Cut. Keep it simple for people, but don't restrict professionals who need to get into some of the nuts and bolts. Don't hide that stuff from us.
Well, progressive disclosure is kind of one of the fundamental design concepts of Final Cut, but I'm sure there's plenty of arguments between, the designers and engineers and others of like, what is, too complicated and too much versus, what's going to give you the control that you want. And I think the same is with when we're talking about using neural engine or, AI or whatever, machine learning assisted stuff. The key would be for it to not take over and not be an automatic driving car, but to be something that is right there as your helper.
Selective. Yeah.
No, absolutely. I absolutely agree with that. But like I said, just put it simple, and then if you want the advanced features, make them available.
Make it customizable.
Because once again, we've just pointed out 6 or 7 different things that Apple did one thing, and then they turned around and gave the users what they wanted. Do the same thing with Final Cut. Give us some of the things we wanted. I'm not sure how Final Cut can cater to one element, though. I don't think they can cater to just the YouTubers or just the educational, just documentary filmmakers or just Hollywood. No. First off, they're not going to just cater to Hollywood. Forget that. That's never going to happen. They're going to do some features that's going to benefit Hollywood as well as other, editors along the way. Are they in the middle of the road there? Between Hollywood and YouTubers? Are they like in the middle? Is that what's happening?
Like it's a spectrum of users. I think there's a lot of people who use Final Cut that don't tap 90% of what it can do.
I agree. So I think it can pivot in either direction. That's what I like about it.
No, absolutely.
Right? But also the lack of marketing for it. I mean, you've got Resolve here. That's people come to start using it through whether it's color, they know of that, or it's free. And then you've got Adobe with a lot of marketing and a lot of like educational space as well. So they've got plus the subscription plan. So you've got two other NLEs that really have something going for them when it comes to promoting their products. Free on one hand, multi-platform, subscription, get access, and also in education. And Final Cut's just like, we hope you hear about us through somebody. It just doesn't. It just doesn't. It's like, what are you gonna?
I don't know.
They did more than that.
I don't know if it's.
I will say that I've seen more Final Cut love at the Apple main events over the years. Like I've seen more, and you'll notice something kind of interesting. In the last event, they said Final Cut got this feature, and they quickly mentioned the object tracking, and then they moved on, and they showed Resolve and they showed Premiere. Interesting. Why would they do that? Well, maybe there's an antitrust concern. Maybe they don't want to piss off their developers. They have to kind of play friendly and say you can, any of our software developers can do it. There you go. It's an excuse book. I think that's a real concern, though.
No, I'm not disagreeing with you, of course.
But most of those people aren't
if they
Apple
toot the horn of Final Cut, not only they upset the developers, but then there's this question of is Apple too much of a monolithic do everything company and does not allow for other, it's the big tech argument, right?
Yeah, but I don't think that the NLEs fit that category because Premiere's gigantic, Blackmagic's big, Avid's big. They have lots of competition as far as
But if they told the truth, that we would know that if they told the truth and did a PC versus Mac type ad campaign.
I love those ads. I love those ads when they had them originally.
What I want from Apple, I mean, a couple things on the marketing side. One is I would love to see Apple sponsor like student film festivals and other film festivals have a presence at like Sundance, for example, not just to promote. But they can include all of that. They can include the fact that they have, hardware for creative professionals. They have the cinematic mode on iPhone if they want to say that. They have got the Apple TV Plus thing and give a little bit of love to Final Cut in there. I'd love to see that. And I'd also love to see some ads just like we get with Logic where they don't even mention Logic, but they highlight a musician and they show them being creative. And they show a few shots of them using Logic. Like, I want that for Final Cut. The difficulty is, if you're looking at just a video editor, they're only one piece of a puzzle. But I also know plenty of people who are the one-man bands and shoot and edit and, or they're documentary filmmakers, Serena being one of them.
Right.
But all of us, to some degree, being those people who use who no cameras, we shoot, we edit, we deliver stuff in post. I'd love for Apple to take somebody like that or a few people like that and show just them being creative professionals using Apple products. And oh, by the way, here's Final Cut. They don't even have to say the words, but just show it.
Are you pitching a job for yourself, Brad, at Apple? Is that what you're doing? You want to apply for this job you're talking about?
Sure, I'll go do it.
Maybe Brad and I'll do it together. We'll do
yeah. No,
Serena, you got enough on your plate right now. You got so much stuff going on.
I had a friend who, he's a coder and he works with one of these big companies we're talking about. And he walked into my what is now half of my house has turned into a studio. And he's looking around and he goes, well, you definitely are a Mac shop. And he walked into my edit bay and he went, you've got more equipment than I do. And so, yeah, I think you can say that I am definitely a fan of Final Cut. I'm a fan of everything that Apple makes that surrounds me every day. I have thought about getting Windows-based PC for some of the more gaming type of environment stuff that I want to just learn. I don't know that I could ever want to make a living on it, but
Sure.
yeah, I'm ending 2021 feeling really appreciative of all of those people behind the scenes, hardworking on those development teams. And, we're saying we want this feature and that feature and that feature. And I'm looking at all my friends that work behind the scenes. I mean, look at Philip and Greg. With Lumberjack and Intelligent Assistants and these, we'll get requests for features all the time.
Are they in that teepee, Serena? Are they in that teepee behind you?
Yeah,
because
they're going to join me later on the campgrounds.
I think it moved a little bit. I think we saw it move a little bit. Yeah, no.
Oh, well,
before we went on the air.
My dog was trying to get in here and she knocked the canvas trying to get in here.
I think all of us here, maybe except for Tony, are Mac and Final Cut Pro people. Tony's like 50-50. He's half Resolve.
Mac, but half.
Are you all Mac?
Yeah. Oh, you're all Mac. You don't use Resolve on the PC ever, thank God. Thank you, Tony. Thanks. I appreciate it.
Well, we have Final Cut, Resolve, and Media Composer, and we have Premiere, and that's only because the different things we're doing, I want the editors that are working with us to be comfortable. But most people are on either Final Cut or Resolve. That's just our shop.
Oh, wait a minute. Now, Philip Allen says it's hard to get a job with Final Cut Pro. Everybody talks about Premiere.
I don't
not me.
agree with that.
I don't.
Really?
I think there are companies that only hire Premiere, but I'm seeing more and more opportunities for Final Cut.
Sure, I understand.
Yeah.
Well, Brad, you helped me with the Creative Summit talk about, if your executive producer doesn't want to hire somebody that's working on Final Cut, how you can work on Final Cut in the field and deliver to any of the NLEs. It's easy to do. So that argument really doesn't hold water anymore, I think. I think that if you're assertive and you want a job and you're being told, no, you work on Final Cut or you work on Resolve or you work on Premiere, we can't hire you. There is a way to migrate between all of those NLEs.
Oh, absolutely.
It's much more agnostic than it was a few years ago. And I really feel like if you're really good at one of them and you want to work, there is a workaround for you, and you can make it happen. Now, I'm not saying you're going to get halfway through a feature film and then switch. That's tough.
Right.
Sometimes sometimes the workarounds, and I think like when I come across, conversations that are similar to this about whether there's work or not, and it's just Final Cut is just such a different workflow process, and you have to get the other software to do the workarounds, and then you might lose something in translation. And I think sometimes these workflows, they don't want to make time for that. They just want to have one system that they all share.
Sure.
Like it's all Premiere or it's going to be all Resolve. And yes, you can go between Final Cut and Resolve for color, and that's kind of okay. But a lot of times when these deadlines, the last thing they want to do is trying to figure out how to have one thing translate to another. And that's kind of why, to my chagrin, I prefer to just be Final Cut all year long.
Right.
But I also feel like I'd be doing a disservice in this case to juniors and seniors by not making them familiar of track-based systems like Premiere and Resolve.
No, absolutely.
Just so that they know them.
Think how boring it would be if Final Cut was the only NLE.
Oh yeah.
It would be boring because first off, they haven't developed much in the last 3 years. If there's no competition, there would be, less development. I don't know how that would happen, but no, I think that I like the competition, especially with Resolve. And, my favorite besides Final Cut are Resolve and then LumaFusion. Those are my two, my top three for sure. I would love it if LumaFusion went full ahead and made a Mac app. I really, really like that. They've talked about it before, but then they kind of pull back and say, our specialty is really touch on the iPad. So we want to concentrate on that. But I mean, we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Especially if they develop the Mac version better and it gets popular because of the Mac version. I think they might, go back to their original idea that they'll make a Mac version.
Do any of you ever work on Vegas Pro?
No.
No.
It's interesting. The people that
it's been 10 years since I've seen Vegas.
Yeah, they in the last year, I just interviewed them, and it'll probably be posted in another week or so on OWC Radio. They have a whole suite of new features that are really interesting. So keep a lookout for that. I don't work on Vegas Pro, but I'd like to try it based on
that's
the work they've been doing the last year. PC
only, though, right?
No.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought Vegas was PC.
No.
I think it may have used to have been. Just on I was just thinking about this idea of there are a lot of jobs like in my market that will say you have to Adobe Premiere, but there's been a few of us that have taken those jobs and then flipped them to other systems. Mm-hmm. So
yeah,
you can really make a good case for it, and it's right for the job, and it will save them money and time.
Sure.
There's a way to do it.
Brad, to your point, that's exactly what I was thinking too, because that's what I've done on several jobs where it's like they want to use Premiere or they want to use After Effects for that matter. And then through the process, I might complain a little bit. I just want to show them, if they're open to just showing them what Final Cut and Motion can do, particularly with Motion for doing the motion graphics. And I won't say I will convert an entire department, but there have been plenty of times where they had no idea how much time they could save and therefore, money, or spend more time in the creative process. Because the last project I did, something like that, using Motion and Final Cut, but more Motion, it's just that they just didn't know. They're so entrenched with After Effects, understandably. They just had no idea. And I was literally doing the work of more than one of their team and getting content, getting things done faster than them, using Motion. And then showed them Final Cut, and it was very eye-opening. Then I started sharing little YouTube videos of comparing, from Simon and things like that, comparing different workflows and processes. So sometimes it's just an eye-opener for people because they're just so entrenched, as many people are.
Sure.
They're typically used to using,
yep.
And they just don't know any better or different. And a lot of times it's because they're working with other people. It's not like a lot of us, or some of us, where you're the only person doing it all. They're working with a lot of other people or several people where they have to have that workflow where they all know the same software and can work well with each other. But to your point, Brad, that is so true. Like there's been plenty of people, particularly with Premiere, where I will sit with Premiere users and show them the same things on Final Cut, and they will their mouths will fall to the floor. And I think it's more of a realization that they just had no idea that they could work that way, or that was even, roles based, or just the speed. It just wasn't an option to them,
Right. Tony, how many editors do you have in your group, your company?
We have two, myself, and I have another editor. And like right now, we have 4 editors. We have one in LA and one in Austin.
Okay.
They're working on different projects, so there's 4 of us, but they're freelance on a contract base.
Sure.
So we just kind of scale up as needed.
Now, when you get a freelance editor, do you specify or suggest Resolve or Final Cut?
It depends, and this goes to like what we've been talking about. I think it depends upon scalability and what part of the process that you're affecting, and there's a lot of things that come into play. But for the most part, if it's a project that is completely turnkey, I don't mean production, but production too, but post-wise, if it's going to originate, be created and then delivered and finished with us, it'll usually either be Resolve or Final Cut. The editor in LA is working in Resolve on our project, and the editor in Austin is working in Final Cut. So it just depends too on the project and what the needs are.
Yeah, I enjoy working in Final Cut more than some of the other NLEs. I just find it more pleasurable. I mean, it's just, I don't know what exactly they've done, but the magic sprinkling of the fairy dust on different things. But I just find it more enjoyable. I enjoy editing in Final Cut. I remember when I used to do Premiere, it was more burdensome.
One of the companies that I've worked with here in Playa Vista called Kin, K-I-N. On YouTube, they might be known as Kin Community. They specifically were looking, and I think sought me out because I know Final Cut. And one thing that really threw me off, my first kind of introductory experience with them, is because it's not so prevalent and comparatively to an Avid or Premiere jobs here, at least in LA. That one thing that almost caught me off guard, but it didn't, was during the kind of phone interview process, questions like, what are your favorite shortcuts or key commands, or what are your favorite, it really was kind of a semi-interview of, there are people who say they know Final Cut, but they really don't. Right. And that could go for any NLE. Right. That was a very intriguing part of the process because it isn't kind of the prevalent NLE that's used to even just over the phone, just saying, can you explain like how you would do something or which keys are, that was a really interesting experience. But they exclusively were looking for Final Cut Pro editors, and they do a lot of content.
Right. Yeah, I would tell them that I customize all my keyboard shortcuts, so I can't tell you the default ones.
Yeah.
To get out of that one. I remember most of them. I mean, but some of them. I mean, like I use zoom in, zoom out, and deselect a lot. So I make them all single keyboard shortcuts in Final Cut. And Final Cut deselect is Apple Shift A. No, I use D. Yeah, D for deselect. And then I use whatever D was, I make it Option D. So that's, because I use deselect all the time,
I try
Richard,
not to. I used to modify.
Leave in a minute. I hate to say this, and I'm going to have to go in a minute.
No, you're not leaving. You're staying.
The time frame hasn't changed back there, Serena, in your background. It's been the same. You've been
I know,
holding the
isn't
same
it
time
amazing?
frame.
The light hasn't changed at all while we've been sitting here.
Are you cold?
The squirrel never moved.
Yeah. Are you cold sitting outside?
Yeah, no. I tell you what, though, it makes me wish I could go camping. Can you see the little squirrel on the tree trunk behind you?
Yes. Yeah, he hasn't moved
the whole time.
He's very patient.
Is that Shure microphone new? Was it an SMB or something?
Yeah, this is the...
it sounds good.
Oh, thank you. I wanted a microphone that wasn't going to change my voice so that I didn't have to go in after the fact. And you help me a lot on these edits.
Right.
And, you're always having to add something or take something away. I love the Neumann. I still have it. It's right over here.
You have a TLM 102, just like Chris Fenwick does. He has a
I have the 102, and I really like it, but it picks up all the room noise. This one is much more forgiving. I'm talking to you, and I have not turned off the Flex 8 or any of the Thunder Bass.
Oh, really?
No,
really?
Nice. They're all live right around my desk, and I love that for
I have
particularly.
I got a Flex 8, by the way. Speaking of that, so I needed a RAID that works with my M1 MacBook Pro. I got my old RAIDs up and running on my MacBook Pro. I updated a Promise had a driver in the fall, September, October, to update their RAID, their legacy RAID for the M1 chipset. I installed it, and it not only brought my Promise RAID online, it brought my G-Tech RAID online because G-Tech didn't have the new driver. So I got a Flex 8 myself. I got a 56 terabyte, 64 raw, 56 terabyte RAID 5. I don't trust RAIDs for storage, but I want the speed of an 8-drive RAID, and I want to have all my working projects on that RAID. I don't want to store it long term. I don't trust them. Although the RAID is going to be a RAID 6. Soft RAID is going to RAID 6 sometime shortly. They have it in beta now. Yes. They have it in beta. They've had it in beta for a while, so that'll be good. But I'm really pleased. I'm very, very pleased with it. And I have it under my desk. I have it turned off right now. But I got a
Mine
noise
is
gate.
actually right here to my side. It's literally, I don't know, 4 feet away from me.
Wow.
And it's raised up because I used to have to turn it off and on all the time, eject it and then turn it off. I got tired of crawling under the desk. So,
Right.
by the way, you know what I did this is silly. I took one of those, the lights, the LED lights that are in your hallway that turn on when you walk by them.
Yes.
I
yeah.
put one underneath the desk so that when I go under there, it turns on. I
Sure.
don't have to hold a flashlight.
That's a good idea.
It's great. Works great.
No, I have not only, I do the same thing, but I have this. I won't point it at the camera, but it's a little LED light. It's a little clip on.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and I also have another one with a twisty arm for underneath there when I go underneath of there. So this is actually to put on an iPhone to light the subject matter. It's 3 different levels, but I have it just sitting right here so I can just grab it and go underneath. But I know exactly what you mean. Absolutely. So, Serena, we're not going to let you go. You have to stay for a couple more minutes.
Okay, I will stay.
But here's one thing I want to say to everybody before you do leave. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year's to everybody here, all my friends, my year-long friends that come on the show, and also all of our listeners and watchers on YouTube. And listen, we're on YouTube, we're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, and Twitch TV. I have like 3 followers on Twitch TV, I think, because I've never played a single game on my Mac. I'm already playing enough.
That's 3 more than me.
Is that right? Because I do enough time with the Mac. I don't want to spend any more time with the Mac, right? I'm already doing enough just with editing and stuff.
Very good.
So we're looking forward to 2022. I know everybody is.
Yep.
Right?
Yes, indeed.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Start my diet.
Well, that's yes. I agree with you. I watch my diet 8 months, 9 months, 10 months out of the year, but not between Thanksgiving and New Year's. No way. Those are my
so
free.
how many of you had Christmas cookies for breakfast?
I have. Yeah, just during these 6 weeks though. The rest of the time I'm pretty good with carbohydrates and stuff.
I did it. I
Had a
did.
biscotti.
Absolutely.
It's going to be a good year. I think 2022 is going to be a good year, whether it likes it or not.
That's right. That's right.
There you go. That's what I'm talking about.
Well, but the thing is, I think 2021 is, as up and down as it was still better than 2020, wasn't it? Not really?
For me, financially, it was.
Yeah.
But
each year away from 2020 is always just going to have a little bit betterness to it.
It seems like it. It seems like 2020 was the worst.
Sure.
We didn't know what was going on with anything in the world, and it's all brand new. Now we're at least getting a handle on some of the stuff that we're doing. So we have our.
Go ahead.
You go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say I really miss seeing you guys in person. I miss that.
Oh, absolutely.
I just miss the energy.
Although I don't think I've ever seen Tangier in person.
Yeah.
We got to get him out to one of the creative summits.
And
you have to come.
NAB.
NA what?
Yeah, what is it, NAB? So NAB is scheduled for the end of April. I'm not sure if it's... Yes, it is. They scheduled it when they canceled the one in the fall. It's the last fourth week in April. I've already gotten emails on reservations and stuff.
I would love to go.
2022.
I would. Go ahead.
I'll be in a wedding in Ireland somewhere, so I definitely can't go.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
You'll have to wait for Final Cut Pro Creative Summit or whatever they call it, Global Summit. So I was talking to some, I forget who I was talking to this last week. And, the Aussies. I had an Aussie celebration. Listen, those guys are crazy. I had to do it at 6 o'clock in the morning. I had to do a live stream at 6 o'clock in the morning. It was 9 or 10 o'clock at night. I can never figure the Australian time zones. And they have 5 time zones. So I got up anyway, but we did one there. And I was telling them that I was listening to Carly Simon's Anticipation, the song Anticipation, the video, this live performance that she did back in the day. It was phenomenal. It was absolutely phenomenal because she has severe stage fright. And you couldn't tell from this one performance. Yes, she's just completely afraid of performing live. And she did a great job, but she did Anticipation. And one of the lines I never paid attention to before was, "These are the good old days." So what she was saying to whoever she was singing to was, right now, these are the good old days. We may think in the future that they were the good old days, but these are the good old days. So the Final Cut Pro Creative Summit, I hope 2019 was not the good old days and we don't ever see those again. Mm-hmm. And NAB as well. NAB as well. I hope not. I hope they are not the good old days. I want the good old days to come back for being in person. I mean, Final Cut Pro Creative Summit, both NAB, both. I don't care about IBC because I'm over here.
I'm going. Even if I have to wear a mask, I'm going. I really want to. You know what I'm missing? CES is going to start soon, and I love CES.
That's in January? Around, are they having it live?
It's like, I think it's half and half. I'm doing it online, but I miss going from booth to booth and seeing things that are just being developed, and the one area that's all brand new startups. I love that, and I miss that. So we're online, and Sundance I'm going to be online, and Berlinale I'm going to probably try to go in person in June, but February will be online. But if NAB is available and you can go in person, I'm going to be there.
I probably will too. Hugs. Yeah. Well, remember they used to have Macworld in January. Remember? Yes. And Steve Jobs canceled it.
That was a while ago.
Wow. Yeah,
it was a while ago, but they used to have Macworld was the big event every year. So Philip Allen says, I won the app yesterday. How do I get it? Well, you have to contact me. I'm not psychic. I can't just automatically send it to you telepathically. Contact me, one of the social media platforms, and I'll send you your... After I verify that you actually did win. I think you did. So Peter says, it was a pity IBC did not go through in Amsterdam. Well, they canceled, NAB canceled for the fall. Here's CES 2022 in Las Vegas. What? Okay.
Is that yours?
Yeah.
I'm glad Pebbles is sound asleep on the floor next to me. She's my assistant editor.
Yeah, exactly. So CES is 2022 in Las Vegas, Nevada, January 5th to the 8th, 2022. So that's whatever I know NAB in the fall, they were requiring proof of vaccination the one they had scheduled for the fall. So they'll probably do something like that again. So, but if an NAB happens and everybody doesn't cancel, if Black Magic's going to be there, I'll probably be there. And some of the other big ones, Sony and Panasonic. Look, Panasonic pre-announced the GH6 for 2021, and now they've said, no, we're not going to have it till 2022. So,
well, a lot of that is the delivery of the components.
The chips.
It's been really, really tough.
Yeah.
But I had four people walk up to my door and knock on my door and offer to buy. I have
got
a Highlander,
my chips.
which there you go. You got the chips
my
on
chips.
that. Cars are crazy. Real estate's crazy. It's a strange world. I literally have had four people knock on the door because I drive the Subaru most of the time, but the Highlander, which I love, I will never sell. I've had four people knock on my door and say, "What do you want for your Highlander? Name your price."
Wow.
It's an older car. It's like a 2016 or something.
Well, I would consider that. Tell them I got a RAV4. I would certainly consider. It's only got like 48,000 miles. I don't do any traveling anymore. I do 5,000 miles a year, I think. So, I used to put 50,000 miles when I drove to D.C. and back every day, 5 days a week, 4 days a week, whatever it was. But not anymore. 5,000 miles. I'm lucky to get 5,000 in a year because I'm changing my own oil now. I went to my dealer and they made me mad, so I went online and got the videos and learned how to change my oil. I change oil in old cars. No, that's not the point. The point is this one I've changed. I had old cars; they're fine. This one requires a special wrench for the oil filter.
Really?
Sounds like
Yes.
a tutorial coming up.
Yes.
Final Cut.
There you go.
You and
Absolutely.
Jane have a real homestead going there. I think you can just take care of yourselves between Jane's cooking and the gardening and
Yeah.
everything she does.
We do pretty good here. So this is one of the things we did just recently. We did a gingerbread house. They had her family over here. That's Jane, and that's her
Aw.
family. And she did a gingerbread house. Her family came over and did a gingerbread house. Took a few hours. It was a lot of fun. This is the guy that's doing the Christmas trees,
Aw.
PJ. And we did that, so I put that up online for everybody. Yeah, we have a pretty good thing. We really enjoy this, what we have here. But when I was young, I was like 18 and 20, and I said, I'm going to work hard and save money when I'm young and healthy and I'm physically fit, and then when I get older, I'll be able to. Yeah, but when I get older, I'll have the house, and I have the house. It worked out exactly as I expected it to, for the most part. But I didn't know I was going to be a video guy until the late 90s, because I was in construction prior to that. I was a carpenter, so that I really enjoy that. I still use those. I still use those skills all the time.
It's awesome.
Speaking of skills, I have to go and finish a spot.
I was gonna say, yeah, I'm heading out soon for some dining with the wife for anniversary.
You got to
Oh,
get to
it's
your wife.
anniversary. We don't want to get you in trouble. Richard,
That's all
thank
right.
you for everything you do for us.
19 years.
19 years? You're not old enough.
19 years married, 28 years together. We met in high school.
Wow.
I met in high school
Aw.
too.
Yeah.
Is that right?
I'll have a drink. I'll have a drink for you tonight, and I'll cheers you.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Anniversary.
Well, everybody,
Yes, indeed.
thanks for stopping in on the show. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year's to everybody here, all my friends. We'll be back again in 2022, all the listeners that watch. And let's give away one more copy of the app before we go. Who can we give it to? Peter Allen won yesterday. Who? Christopher Ashworth. He won today because he had that. So, Yari, you mentioned that you already have this app. Is that true, or are you just making fun? I'm not sure. He said he already had the app. Tim Whitmore, you have a copy of the. You want a copy of the app? Oh, you already want a copy. The same guys are back and forth. Yes. So
Tony's out.
we'll have to give a. Let me show you one thing that I had set up here. Look at this. Ta-da!
Hey.
I was prepared for Tony leaving. I have a 4. This is a 4-up display. Look at that
not
magic.
For Serena leaving though.
No, not for sure. I don't have a.
I'm waiting.
I have a- I have
I don't want to leave you guys. I won't leave you guys. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and Richard, thank you. I really want to say thank you for all of the amazing broadcasts that you do for all of us,
You
and
do.
everything you
Yeah.
do for the community, and Tangier and Brad for
You do.
being compatriots and tribe members, and we've got our little tribe going here, and it's just always nice that you have people you can call when you need advice or information and a bolstering, because COVID's been a little bit tough and sometimes we feel lonely.
Yep.
But thank you all. It's
Absolutely.
great to
Thanks.
know you.
Thanks to everyone. Philip Allen, I don't think I'll give you a copy of the app if you want a copy. I don't think I've give you one today. And somebody else said something real quick. Tim Whitmore already won before we go. Oh, this guy, I'm not sure what he means here, but I'll give him a copy of the app. He says, I don't got the app. If you don't have a copy of the app, I'll give you a copy. Peter Noonan. Let's see what else we have. Oh, Kuman, I'm sorry. All right. Fantastic, everyone. Anyway, once again, Merry Christmas
Same to you.
and Happy
you.
New Year.
You all.
Thank you.
Happy Hanukkah.
Yeah, Hanukkah,
Whatever holidays.
whatever you celebrate. Yeah, they're all
Festivus.
great. Festivus, if you're a Seinfeld fan, absolutely. But anyway, everyone, thanks a lot for coming in. I just enjoy these so much, and I appreciate everybody stopping by. And then we're going to get off the air, and we're going to discuss all of our secrets off the air that we can't talk about.
No.
Unless you have to go to dinner with your wife.
Yes,
gonna go
absolutely.
Have some brunch. All right.
Very good. Talk to y'all later.
Take care.
Bye.
All right, take care.